if you look in the modern world and you try to predict number of available sexual partners for a given male, your best predictive measure of that is income. And the best predictive measure of that is intelligence and conscientiousness. And so what happens is that males orient themselves in groups and then they compete. And then women peel off the top. And so the women are in a position of judgment on men, and the judgment is the judgment of nature. You know, there are certain physical characteristics, wide shoulders in men and narrow waist. In women, it's waist to hip ratio is a very common marker of beauty. Well, you can certainly claim that the ideal male is represented in mythology as a hero. So, and that's actually what mythology is about. It's about representing ideal patterns of behavior. So it's hardly surprising. And so, you know, if you go to a movie and it's a romance, and there's the main lead character that you're supposed to fall in love with, if you happen to be the kind of person who would fall in love with that kind of person, then he's going to act out a particular pattern of behavior. And the pattern of behavior is quite identifiable. So, for example, he's going to move forward and explore and not hide and cower. And the probability that he's going to be creative is very high, and the probability that he's going to be good-looking and strong is very high. People are also evaluating each other for such things as intelligence and personality and character. You could say, in some sense, the men are competing to be the best man, and the women are watching the male competition to take the man who wins on the presupposition that he wouldn't win if he wasn't the best man. Women aren't after resources. That's wrong. They're after the factors that predict resources. So what we did was we showed women a bunch of pictures. It was this, say several pictures of the same guy. So there was several guys. And each guy was in 4 conditions. The photo of each guy was in 4 conditions. Same photo, right? One guy was poor and useless. One guy was rich and useless. One guy was rich and useful. And one guy was poor and useful. So the rich, useless guy had won a lottery, and it paid out like $4,000 a month for the rest of his life. So no matter how useless he was, he couldn't squander all of it. He had resources, right? The poor, useless guy, well, we don't even have to define that. Everybody understands that. The rich, useful guy, well, that's easy to understand. The poor, useful guy worked for a non-governmental agency. He had high occupational status but low income, and that wasn't likely to change. So then we asked women to rate these men on a bunch of different attributes, including personality, but also on dateability, basically, and also on probability of considering a long-term relationship with someone like this. And wealth had no main effect. The only effect was usefulness. So the poor useful guy and the rich useful guy were attractive, more attractive to the women than the 2 useless guys, regardless of their socioeconomic status. And the women judged the useful guys as higher in openness and conscientiousness, which was pretty smart, because openness is basically intelligence and conscientiousness is hard work, and those are the best predictor of socioeconomic success. So yay women, good work. The things that have made women attractive to men across time are the things that are associated with health and therefore reproductive capacity. So for example, waist to hip ratio is a marker. 0.68 seems to be about ideal. If you're in a relationship and you only have 5 positive interactions to 1 negative interaction, then the relationship will end. It's 2 negative. But if you have more than 11 positive interactions to 1 negative interaction, then it also ends. And you think, well, that's pretty bloody peculiar. Why in the world would that be? Don't you want like 100 to 1 positive to negative interactions? And the answer to that is, what makes you think that you want a relationship so that you can be happy? Or at least happy moment to moment? Why do you think that? It's certainly not the case. You know that too, because I bet you there's not a person in this room who hasn't rejected someone because they were too nice to them. Something like that. Person's no challenge. It's something like that. You want someone who, you know, you can get along with them, but now and then they bite you and you think, oh, that's interesting. You know, I didn't really expect that. And then you go and puzzle over it for a while and you torture yourself about it. And That's one of the things that keeps you really linked into the relationship. And the reason for that is that part of the reason that you want the relationship isn't so that you're happy right now. It's so that you can live a high quality life across multiple decades. And so you're looking for someone that you have to contend with, who's going to push you beyond what you already are, and who's going to judge you harshly often for your limitations.